Testing, testing. Okay, we're good. All right, let's check in on the midterms, ladies and gentlemen. Do I have this set to latest tweets? Okay, sure do. Thank God. If President Biden chooses not to run for re-election, who would you like to be the Democratic nominee? Like Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg. I mean, would like Katie Porter, but I don't think she has the national profile for it. Pete Buttigieg. Yeah, I'll get back to you on the others. Britt Hume, this guy's a hack from Fox News. Senator Rick Scott, the man responsible for electing Republicans this cycle, is blaming leadership for Dems keeping control, as if he's not party of that leadership. He says McConnell and co. didn't have a plan for GOP to run on. Well, Scott had a plan. It gave Dems a way to put Social Security cuts in play against Republicans. It may not have become a big issue, but it was a dumb plan politically. And what happened to all that money Scott spent on the last year that left the NRSC short this fall? What if, hypothetically, Republicans ran on a plan that wasn't dumb or unpopular? That would basically make them Democrats, but for the sake of argument, Britt, I need my dash. Oh, yes. Some cope from the right-wingers like Nuance Bro. Oh, man, it's over for Lake. She got under 60%. It's over. The election was just too fair and too free. Oh, okay. I see. He's being facetious. Too fair and too free with no improprieties to speak of. Katie Hobbs, the woman in charge of the elections, has won the election a week after Election Day. Unless something crazy happens with the remaining Box 3, cured ballots, and provisionals, it's over. I expect many outlets to call it soon. My condolences. I'm so sorry for your loss. I hope in this time of grief you allow a moment of quiet reflection about how you and other conservatives allowed your party to be co-opted by anti-democratic conspiracy theorist attention seekers with no substance, with no substance but a shit ton of camera filters. Let's see here real quick.
Things okay. Hold it.
Right.
Wait. Oh,
What the
Ruminate.
fuck's this?
Hey, Ruminate.
Hey, what's up, guys? Real quick, Destiny, just wanted to let you know that they're calling the Arizona governor's race for Katie Hobbs. So Democrats won that.
Hell yeah.
Did we win Nevada too, or am I making that up?
We lost the Nevada governorship, but we won the Senate seat.
guess.
Yeah. So
How many governors? How many governor races are left to be called?
I have no idea. I think this was the last big one in the final flip state, or swing state. So
Are we not gonna have the House? Is that like locked? Is that basically done? Or
no, there's still. I mean, Republicans are favored. I think they've got 212 by my last count. Let me see.
if we lose, if we're down like 4 or 5 House seats, is it like the Senate where it's like there's just nothing going through there, or?
Well, I mean, Republicans are screwed. If Republicans had a legislative agenda, they would be screwed. They typically don't, other than cram through judicial appointments, which they can't do from the House because the House, that's not their purview. Tax cuts for the rich would be another one, but even if they had the Senate, Biden would just veto that.
Yeah, they don't have any legislative agenda with the president there, right?
Right. So now the question becomes whether or not, they are just going to cockblock Biden on his agenda, which of course I'm sure they'd want to do. But even if they win the House, right now, there's major dissent going on in the GOP because Matt Gaetz, for example, he has publicly said he will not vote for Kevin McCarthy to be Speaker of the House. And Kevin McCarthy will need every friggin' vote he can possibly get in order to become Speaker. So it's going to be a bad time, I think, for Republicans, period. Yeah, just wanted to share that good news and also remind you, just gently, make sure you reach out to your vast army of Georgia people, like you said.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, guys. Well, talk to you later. Bye. Oh, I don't think any of that came through, did it? That makes me so sad. Yay! Let's see. My ongoing improvised love affair with Stax. So Stax shared this funny tweet that said, OpenSpotify.com. Oh, shoot, yeah, they got a similar vibe to some of the music I listen to. Oh, who do you listen to? Their music is cringy and depressed music, so perfect. That's exactly the shit I like. True love. And I jokingly said, stop sharing our texts. And he said, not until you admit that you embarrassed me in front of all your friends. So it started this whole, telenovela. So I said, I apologize 5 times already. How many more will it take? And he said, your apologies are so fake. They mean nothing. I'm sleeping at my parents' tonight. I hope you spend the time thinking about what you've done. Oh, nice. That's just great. Every single time we have a disagreement, you either play the I'm going to stay with my parents card or the I'm going to cut your brake lines card. It's getting old, Nancy. He said, listen, I know you think you saw me cut them, but I'm telling you, brake lines sometimes just cut them themselves. Sometimes it just happened to be cut. You can't trust what you see, but that's okay. That's why you have me. Now, I see, this is the shit I'm talking about. You're leveraging your obvious automotive knowledge over me. Does that make you feel superior, Phyllis? See how I changed the name? Samantha, the fact that you don't even know what brake lines... The fact that you don't even know that brake lines can sometimes get torn with a cut that's eerily similar to a pair of scissors does make me feel superior over you, yes. He's a good dude. Good guy. Let's see what other notifications. Yeah, so earlier Vosh tweeted this. Republicans are so boring. At least in 2020, they made an effort to supplement their election fraud conspiracy with evidence. Scanned evidence, so it may be. Countering them was a frantic process of learning the new fake claims they'd come up with each day. This time there's nothing. They're just saying it. To which I responded, then there's the awkward fact that according to the Heritage Foundation of all places, a right-wing think tank, conservatives and Republicans are much more likely to commit voter fraud than anybody, LMAO. These guys are such bleeping losers. And I linked this article to the Bulwark. It's really good reporting. I'll take a look at it here. The pattern of GOP voter fraud. In case after case from 2020, it turns out the Republicans were the ones misbehaving at the ballot box. Which, again, should be a general rule of thumb to you all that whenever a Republican makes an accusation, it's basically a tacit confession. They are almost certainly based on prior behavior and statistics, guilty of the very thing they're accusing somebody else of doing. So if you look here, find it here. On Tuesday, Donald Kirk Hartle, and again, this is from 2 years ago, and there have been subsequent, voter fraud cases since then. The CFO of a Nevada company that hosted a September 2020 rally for Donald Trump pled guilty to voting twice in last November's election, including once in his dead wife's name. Yada, yada, yada. Hartle's faux sanctimony playing on his wife's death may have set a new low for hypocrisy, but there's more than a single case at play here. The Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank, maintains a public database of ballot fraud cases. A review of the database reveals an astonishing fact. In every listed indictment and conviction for voter fraud or other malfeasance in connection with the 2020 presidential general election, when the culprit's political affiliation is known, he or she turns out to be a Republican or an unabashed conservative. So that's really important to remember that, again, voter fraud does happen. It's as long as we have had information tracking elections carefully, there have been instances of voter fraud. Nothing that would ever merit the overturning of an election, right? But when instances of voter fraud are known, it's almost always a Republican or conservative voting in a dead wife's name. You had that Florida retirement community during the 2020 election that committed ballot malfeasance to vote for Trump more than once. So it's just Republican after Republican after Republican, which is why I said in this tweet, or in a different tweet like it, if you really wanted to protect elections, you would make sure that Democrats are always the ones running those elections, and you would keep an eye on Republicans. So if you want to save democracy, protect elections, ensure election integrity, then you make sure the Democrats run elections and keep Republicans away from them. Let's see. So the Washington Post reported earlier today that exclusive federal agents believe former President Donald Trump's motive for allegedly keeping classified documents was largely his ego, shocker, and a desire to hold on to the materials as trophies or mementos, according to people familiar with the matter. That does not excuse his misconduct. He still took classified documents from the White House to Mar-a-Lago. Even if you buy the idea that he could telepathically or retroactively declassify those documents, he was still not allowed to have them because they belong to the federal government. They belong to the American people and the National Archives. So no matter what he did, it was unethical, it was wrong. It's just that if they were nuclear-related documents or top secret special clearance, that raises the scale of how dangerous and illegal it was. No matter what he did, it was illegal. It was wrong. There's just a debate over how illegal and how wrong it was. But even if his motive wasn't to sell the United States down the river to our foreign adversaries, this doesn't excuse it. So, of course, Ben Shapiro, like most other conservative pundits, is playing defense for the Donald. And he says, of course, this was always the most plausible explanation. Didn't stop people from speculating he was going to sell nuclear codes to the Russians or some nonsense or such. Gang. My wife's a doctor, gang. So I'm like, do you think this vindicates Trump, Benjamin? Pretend for a moment that Trump were a black president in a tan suit, or a Secretary of State whose last name rhymes with, I don't know, Blinton. Would their actions and this excuse satisfy you? It's a rhetorical question because, of course, the answer is no. He would still be pissed. Yeah, this is the one, because Mueller, she wrote, said, can't wait for all the instances of GOP voter fraud to come to light in the coming months. And that's where, again, I pointed out, according to the reporting from the Bulwark, most instances of voter fraud are committed by Republicans. So, unfortunately, reality has a well-known liberal bias, and as is often the case, Republicans are generally more corrupt than Democrats. Let's see what else is going on. Brian Tyler Cohen, there it is. Katie Hobbs officially wins the race for governor of Arizona. Oh, yeah. Meghan McCain, who gets on my nerves quite a bit because there again, she's kind of like this enlightened centrist who doesn't want to make peace with the fact that her party is objectively far worse than the Democratic Party in terms of morals and intellectualism and hypocrisy. She does criticize Republicans, to be sure, but she does it in a very centristy way. She's been very critical of President Biden, harshly critical, not just of his policies, but also his character, which is interesting because she also reported during the 2020 election that President Biden was very gracious, a good friend of her father's. You know, she treated him he treated her father and the McCain family with a great deal of respect. But over policy disagreements, I mean, she just trashed him. It wasn't even that she disagreed with specific policies of the Biden administration, which of course she's entitled to do. There's plenty to criticize. But to speak of the president so harshly when he's been nothing good, but good to you and your family, it's a real shame. It's kind of pathetic. Let's see here. Whoop. Bipartisan group of senators say they have a deal on bill to codify same-sex marriage, and backers expect to have 60 votes needed to break a filibuster. They released the details of their bill, which the Senate punted until after the election. So let's take a look. Protects all religious liberty and conscience protections available under the Constitution or federal law, including but not limited to Religious Freedom Restoration Act, and prevents this bill from being used to diminish or repeal such protection. I don't know what that means. If that means that churches, maybe that means that religious institutions or churches could refuse to officiate gay marriage without consequence. I don't know what that means. I assume it wouldn't be a situation like we got in Kentucky several years ago where that Kentucky clerk refused to give a marriage license to a same-sex couple, citing her personal religious convictions. I cannot imagine that Democrats would ever agree to an exception to be made for that, but we'll see. 2, confirms that nonprofit religious organization will not be required to provide any services, facilities, or goods for the solemnization or celebration of a marriage. Guarantees that this bill may not be used to deny or alter any benefit, right, or status of an otherwise eligible person or entity, including tax-exempt status, tax treatment, grants, contracts, agreements. Guarantees educational funding, provided that the benefit, right, or status does not rise from a marriage. For instance, a church, university, or other nonprofit's eligibility for tax-exempt status is unrelated to marriage, so its status would not be affected by this legislation. So I'm guessing that means that you couldn't dangle an organization's tax-exempt status, again, like a charity, a nonprofit, a church, depending on their views on gay marriage. It couldn't be used as leverage by the federal government to bully them into a particular position. Makes clear that the bill does not require or authorize the federal government to recognize polygamous marriage. Recognizes the importance of marriage, acknowledges that diverse beliefs and the people who hold them are due respect, and affirms that couples, including same-sex and interracial couples, deserve the dignity, stability, and ongoing protection of marriage. The Respect for Marriage Act is a narrow but important bill that would do 2 primary things. First, it would require the federal government to recognize a marriage between 2 individuals if the marriage was valid in the state where it was performed. Second, the bill would guarantee that valid marriages between 2 individuals are given full faith and credit, regardless of the couple's sex, race, ethnicity, or national origin. But the bill would not require a state to issue a marriage license contrary to state law. So I'm not an attorney, which, maybe like Destiny's Buddy Pisco could join sometime, but like I imagine what that means is if you're in a state which doesn't recognize gay marriage, they wouldn't have to issue you a marriage license, but you could go to a different state and it would be that did, like, so for example, if Alabama or Arkansas, which I imagine would have issues with same-sex marriage, because of course they would, if state law doesn't compel the state to grant a marriage license for same-sex marriage, the federal law wouldn't make them do it. But if you left Alabama and went to California and married a same-sex partner there and then went back to Arkansas or Alabama, that marriage license that you got in California would have the full faith and credit and enforcement of the federal government. I assume that that's what that means, but I have no idea. Of course, Michael Knowles, being, a religious zealot and bigot, says that any Republican senator who votes for this should be expelled from the party. You know what that sounds like to me? Wow, that sounds a whole lot like cancel culture to me. Let's see. Tim Pool, another idiot. Eric Eater. You talking to me or Michael Knowles? Michael Knowles is definitely hateful. No doubt about that. Tim Pool. Democrats are trying to rule by minority. OMG, we need a national popular vote now, and it will apply retroactively so that my side wins this time. I do support popular rule. That makes sense, right? You obviously want to offer constitutional protections for the minority, right? But the fact of the matter is majority rule is probably a bit better in general than minority rule, right? There's nothing about a minority in terms of number of people that's inherently moral, right? A small number of people can be as right or wrong as a big number of people. So there's it doesn't confer any moral advantage based on the sheer number of people involved. But the bare minimum, at least if we conducted elections like, for example, the highest office in the land, the President of the United States, if we were to eliminate the Electoral College and make it just pure popular vote, then at the bare minimum, at least you would have majority consensus, right? At least you would not have a tyranny of the minority. So, food for thought. Eric Eater says, Michael Knowles, I like you. I like you too, buddy. For some reason, you're not showing up. This is why I'm doing this like test stream. You're not showing up in my chat. Why is that? What have I done? What have I done, Eric? I have failed. What is going on here? Is this because... Oh, I screwed this up. I screwed this up big time. See, I don't stream all that often. I typically just do like offline recordings. Radical Coder, fix it. Fix it. Yeah, I know, buddy. Hey, man, you want to hop in for a minute and chit-chat with me about midterms? Because I've been outside of Twitter and popping in on Destiny's feed. I've really kept my opinions to myself. It'd be nice to have a chit-chat with somebody about the midterms while I figure this shit out. Let's see. Mehdi Hassan, who is one of my favorites. I know he's really annoying to a lot of, center-left political commentators and voters because he can be very outspokenly critical of the president and Democrats in general, though I think that has its place. But I do like him. He's an excellent debater. I love his Twitter feed. I love his interviews with people. His compilations, his videos. He's very, very good about dunking on Republicans, which is ultimately the single most important thing that a responsible person, a responsible participant in the American civic project can do. He says, Democrats flipped a GOP Senate seat in a crucial swing state, Pennsylvania, and a GOP governor's mansion in a crucial swing state, Arizona, and they not only did it in a midterm year in which they were supposed to get crushed, but they did it by beating Trump-endorsed candidates in both. Well done. That is the closest to effuse praise that you will ever get from Mehdi Hassan. Probably not, but... Radical Coder, check your DMs. Hey, bro, do you want to chit-chat about midterms for this other test stream I'm doing? Oh, it's so good. So good. Fled Cruz, a.k.a. Flyin' Ted, a.k.a. Lion Ted. Let me know when you're ready. When does Election Day end? When the Democrats win. What a loser. They would... Okay, every time a Republican's like, there should be Election Day, we should go back to Election Day. They don't want to make it a national holiday, right? Like, if you did want to make it a single day, and I guess in the very abstract, I can appreciate very coldly, very distantly, that opinion. But if you were going to be fair about it, you would make it a national federal holiday that nobody works that day, I guess, unless, emergency services or whatnot, in which case they would get their own federal election holiday. You would offer... you would make it super easy to get a ballot. You would make it super easy to cast your ballot. You would do everything in your power to reduce the number of lines. You would maximize, to the best of your ability, voter turnout for eligible American voters. You would make it free, easy, convenient, and you would make it so that nobody would have to go through the rigmarole of sneaking away from work or doing it on their lunch break and, grappling with lines. But that's not what Cruz wants. Cruz, like every other Republican, is of the mindset that the less convenient it is to vote and the smaller the window you have to vote and the number of obstacles to get you to vote are increased, that's good for Republican turnout. And that's really all he cares about. He doesn't care about maximizing voter turnout. He doesn't care about, trying to get every eligible voter out there to vote. He doesn't care about any of that. He cares about winning. And he's pissed because when people turn up, they overwhelmingly do so for Democrats. But that's because he sucks, and so does his party as a whole. Let me call my boy Radical here.
What's up, buddy?
Oh, man. For some reason, I had this thing all set up like a week ago when you and I did this, and then I look away for 5 minutes, and now it's not working properly. My chat's not there.
Sabotaging you.
I believe it. You're Machiavellian in that way. Let me... What do I want to do here? I want to do... How did I do this the last time? Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a... Are you going to turn on your camera? You don't have to, but you can.
I guess. I'm laying in bed right now, but fuck it.
This guy.
We're chilling.
Oh, damn. All right, hang on one second. Let me figure out how I'm going to do this, though. No, not full screen. Pop out. Okay, that's what I want to do. See, the problem is, like, why is that not working right? Wait a minute. It's still not working right. What have I done? What is going on here, Radical?
I don't know, man. I see everything seems to be falling apart.
It is.
I can see me on the stream at least.
No, the whole thing is... Listen, I have, like, mild OCD. I will not tolerate a half-assed... What is going on here?
Yeah, I understand the OCD thing. With me and Rubik's Cubes and shit.
What happened here? Wait a minute. What am I doing? I had this to a third one time, I thought. This is so crazy. I cannot believe this. This is gonna drive me nuts. Look at that box. It's just cutting it's bisecting your face.
Yeah, it is. It's awful, yeah.
Oh my god. So unprofessional. All All right, well, while I'm messing around with this, dude, what do you think about these midterms, man? How do you feel?
Definitely a lot better than I thought I would going in. You know, it seems like optimism was the way to go. Um, I haven't actually checked in a couple days. I've been kind of all over the place. So what's
Geographically
one?
or like mentally or yes or
Uh,
both?
yeah. Well, yeah. Sure. Yeah. Let's go with all of the above. Yeah, something like that.
Fair, but why the fuck is this not doing this?
Real quick, I'll respond to your chat while you're figuring all this out.
Sure.
Eric asked me if I can solve the 4x4 and a 3x3 or 2x2 and stuff, and yes, the answer is yes to all of those different puzzle cubes.
Bro, I legitimately have no idea what is going on here. Wait a minute. What if I do this? Oh, that looks better-ish.
Ah,
Not really.
wait, no.
What is this? I'm telling you, I didn't. You're the last. I think you're the last person that I talked to on my stream where this is insane.
It was like a couple weeks ago at this point when we talked, right? Because you
Yeah.
had like Destiny and IRI on, which is cool. I like both of those guys. I've talked to IRI like once.
Yeah, IRI's the stuff, dude. He was the real
He's
morale captain of that chat because I'm a cynic and Destiny's, I think, had apolitical stuff going on.
yeah.
But yeah, I got to give kudos to IRI because he called it. He was like, listen, guys, don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. And Simon Rosenberg, too. I may have mentioned him the last time we talked. If you have not, are you back on Twitter? Did your appeal go through?
No, I appealed it twice the week it happened. Honestly, I just assume that Twitter is such a shit show right now that they're never gonna get to my appeal. And I don't think Elon.
Gail, I'm sorry,
give
real
me
quick.
his
Gail,
graces.
Gail, can you hear him better now?
Oh yeah, testing. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me whine?
I
about
hear you
Elon, who's
perfectly.
allegedly, yeah.
Yeah.
You hear me whine about Elon, who allegedly freed the bird and has kept me captive.
It's because he fears you. You understand that?
Who wouldn't?
He should.
Frankly.
He should. He's like, I do not want to tweet about critical race theory and regurgitate some stupid right-wing talking points, not with Radical Coder on the scene.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't dare if I were him.
Yeah. I mean, he's taken one political and cultural L after another. Gail says it's
Yeah.
better. Good. Thanks, Gail. Thanks, buddy. I wish
Good.
I could see your
Yeah, I appreciate that.
stuff on my screen, but apparently this whole thing is like on the verge of collapse, so we'll do what we can.
So what has hang on, I guess I could just Google Google midterm results and see where we're at now. But I
We're
imagine
at,
you can give me a better.
Sure.
You just have all the answers.
I
my
do.
friend.
I like to think so. I'm basically the oracle, the political oracle of very small YouTube streamers and content creators. So no, we are
Yeah,
at
it's fine, thank you.
we secured a majority in the Senate, which is great, right? There's still the Georgia runoffs to be had, which are going to be had on December 6th. We're running Raphael Warnock, the incumbent, against Herschel Walker, who is this really dumb Republican candidate. I'm sure you're
Yeah.
familiar. But even if they
Yeah,
win, even if we fail and they win, that will only get them that we will still have Vice President Harris as a tiebreaker. We have right now we have 50 already, plus Kamala Harris if need be. And this runoff in Georgia would let us net 51, which may not seem like a big deal, but that would be huge because that means if Joe Manchin or Kyrsten Sinema pull their typical shit where, it's a coin flip as to whether or not they'll cooperate or they'll try to bend the president over a barrel, we would have an additional body, theoretically, so we could cut one of them loose. The president could go to Sinema and Manchin if they try to strong arm him, and the weakest link, he could just disregard them. Like, you know what? You're not even coming to the table. We're not interested in anything you have to say because we have this person here. We have Warnock in Georgia. So it's good.
Yeah, that would be good.
In the House, we are at 204. We need 218 in order to have a one-seat majority. Right now, Republicans are favored to win because they are at 212. So they're 6 seats
Yep.
away from a majority, and we're 14 seats. But there is still a path to victory because a lot of the place of I think most, if not all, of the seats that we're waiting to hear the results from are in California, and there are some conservative places in California, but it's largely a blue state, so we do have a shot.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
the other
Interesting.
upshot is radical that the Republicans are in disarray. So Minority Leader McCarthy in the House, he would be, under normal circumstances, he would be the obvious choice to become Speaker if Republicans take the majority in the House. But he would have to be voted in. He would have to get all of the Republican votes or some Democrat votes, which he'll never get, to secure the speakership. And many members of his caucus, the Freedom Caucus in particular, so like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan, yada yada, a lot of them hate his guts. They think that he's not sufficiently loyal to Trump, that he didn't kiss the ring, that he was a failure. I mean, he presided over not a red wave, but a red trickle. So some Republicans, like Matt Gaetz, for example, said they will not vote for him to be Speaker. So even if they take the majority, it's not looking good in terms of a cohesive whole for them.
Well, that's promising.
I know. I'm so happy that it's
I like
finally the right and Republicans who are eating themselves instead of just the left. Fill me in on, I don't know, any previous discussions or debates or whatnot, because I also want to test your volume. And while he's talking,
yes.
people, let me know if he sounds better.
So, I mean, this past month, I've kind of been in like a weird intersection of like this, like I guess a channel that's associated with the Crucible vaguely, with like Andrew Wilson them, or I think they kind of like came up from that, but they're a really small channel. They're like this just a bizarre Catholic family, that I've just been I've just been having a lot of interesting conversations with them, and today I I made the mistake of agreeing to moderate a conversation between the dad Ben and his I guess they're going through separation right now, and I don't know. They asked me to do it, and I thought it would be interesting, and it was I don't know. It was a shit show. Um, it I have no idea how to feel about it. So I've been kind of spinning out from that. But other than that, I've been kind of poking into the manosphere, I guess. I did a show, this like black pill bachelorette speed dating show, last night. It was a lot of fun. Got second place, which
What
was
the
pretty chill. Had a
hell?
good time.
What the hell is that? What is a bachelorette type show for?
So I haven't watched like their other episodes, I guess. I don't know. I have a really hard time like understanding what all the different pills are really getting at, because it all just seems kind of silly to me. Um, but I mean this show in particular, I kind of had an advantage because the Catholic family I mentioned, the daughter Grace was the Bachelorette, and I've been associating with this channel for like a past month, so like I've been talking to Grace, and like I like we've been doing shows and stuff together, so it was like I had we had like the chemistry already going in, so I was able to kind of have a leg up on everyone else, which is fun, but it's all kind of apolitical stuff, I guess. I'm trying. They're mostly like the people that they have that this family has like around their Discord and stuff are all like kind of like right leaning, like not I shouldn't just say right leaning. Like a lot of these people are like crazy far right, and that's where I've gotten my chops. Like that's where I kind of thrive in these like really high conflict environments.
You told me
So
that, like,
I
it doesn't make you uncomfortable at all.
It does. It does make me uncomfortable, but it's pretty easy for me to shrug it off. Like definitely like I'm not unbothered by it, but like it doesn't like ruin my day usually, you know. Like I can kind of just like bounce off of, I can just kind of like sit there and like swing at all these different crazies like throwing whatever insane things they have to say to me. Because they all think that I'm like just this like I guess I'm kind of subversive because they just think that I'm like this like leftist soy boy whatever, and I am those things. Although soy kind of makes my tummy hurt, so I don't really eat a lot of it. But I just kind of uh, like giga chat and say I actually engage with them, you know, and they're used to people just kind of like um I have no idea. I don't know what they're used to people doing, but it's certainly not what I do. Um, and so I've been trying to help this family not get their Discord nuked because they have all these crazy uh these people just posting like horrible things, and now I'm a mod in there, which is nice.
So you have
So I can
power
clean up a
to,
little bit.
yeah, to
Yeah,
make some change, to be a one-man revolution inside this, hellscape.
that's right.
Dude, you look like you
I
froze. I hope you did not. That.
oh
Oh, there you go. You're there.
I don't know.
Um,
Okay, good.
so do they have particularly like repugnant views, or is it just the people in their space?
You know, I I think that they're probably like center right is like where I'd kind of I don't know how I feel like sometimes I'm unsure about how I'm more charitable than I probably should be, and I feel like I'm kind of being like being pulled around a little bit for it. So I don't know if there's a little bit more to it, or if they're just kind of like they're just hyper Catholic, in like a not in like the cringe. Well, I mean it is cringe, but like in a different kind of cringe than like the Nick Fuentes whatever, like these psychos and like Christian nationalists and all these people. Um, so I don't know. They like they're I'm good. I'm glad to be there and give them the pushback that I can, and like offer a progressive narrative because I don't think that they really hear a lot of like progressive narratives. Um,
Because they're
and
unreceptive to them, or because progressives won't deign to visit the server and the channel?
well, I think they're like a new channel. They're not like they've only got like 300 something subs. Like they're kind of
There's
like
nothing wrong with 300
um
and something subs.
well, I only have 200, so I'm not sitting here speaking from any peaks or anything,
You're
but I
being a
mean like
total
what I mean
snob
is
right
they're
now, bro. Total snob. Yeah.
what I'm saying is that like they are relatively new to this online sphere, especially. So I
Yeah.
don't think that which is probably why it was so like they're like, oh, whatever, you know, all these crazy guys want to come in here and be edgy in our server and whatever, we'll let them, we can put up with it. And I'm like, look, guys, like, there's a couple problems with that. Like, number one is your Discord is gonna get fucking banned if you're not careful. Like, you're gonna get someone's gonna report something and they're gonna shut you down.
Yeah, I think
Um,
people forget, just as a sidebar here, that Twitter
mhm.
also has terms of service.
Yeah,
It's not Thunderdome. It may be, if you have a community that's sufficiently loyal, you may be less likely to have it nuked, but it does happen. As a matter of fact, I think Rob Noor's Discord was nuked once. I think he's got it back now. But it happens. It's good that you're
yeah.
pointing that out.
Yeah, and like the yeah, so those guys are posting all that cringe and stuff, and what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry because I interrupted
Um,
you. It was about.
no, it's okay. I deserved it. Honestly, I was probably rambling.
No, you weren't.
Um,
I always feel like it's good to like if somebody's really paying attention, they don't just listen in silence. They like, ask questions and like follow up on thoughts. As a matter of
that's
fact,
true.
when people just listen to me, either in my personal life or, when I'm chatting with people on stream, and like they don't engage at all, it's just like,
Oh,
and then I'm like, okay, you're clearly not listening. So,
oh,
um,
okay. Yeah, I don't know if you cut out there for a second, or if you paused
no,
for
I was
dramatic effect.
pausing to indicate what I don't want
Okay,
people to do when I'm having conversations with them.
I gotcha. Oh, and I'm catching up on the chat here a little bit, but the Eric, I wasn't saying the Crucible's like center right. I agree the Crucible's a far right, like very far right. Um, but that so like that what I was saying is that this channel, the Ben Thorpe is the Ben Thorpe, aka Abel, I think is the title. But like their channels, like their families, at least the values they seem to espouse. Although, again, I'm not 100% sure if they're kind of pulling my leg on all that because of all the far right people that have been joining their server and stuff. I'm not I just don't know for sure if and some of like the title of this video of me moderating this conversation today, like these motherfuckers, they named the video. Hang on, I gotta find this. I gotta read the. I
Don't
don't
hit
want to
me with a
misrepresent
TOS
it.
violation.
I don't think I will. I don't think I am. I hope not. Um, I'll try to. If I need to, I'll try to dance around. I don't think it's that bad, but it's just it's obviously like a tongue in cheek, but a stupid thing to frame it as. But oh my God, what is this?
Wait a minute. Look at this. So I don't know if you follow. I don't know. I know you said you haven't been following the midterms here lately, but you do know who Carrie Lake is, right? The Republican who
I
was.
know that name.
So she's an ex TV anchor, who like during. I think it was during 2020, she resigned in like the most dramatic fashion. She had like a mental breakdown and was very theatrical, and she has since become like a devoted member of what I call Cult 45. She's just a MAGA cultist through and through. And she was running for governor under the Republican ticket. She's an attractive older woman, and because she's a news anchor, like she's really good with like these cinematic shots. Like she puts like a bunch of filters on and has like this great key light set up. But it's I've never seen filters like it, never. And so somebody I don't know if MSNBC actually did this or ACYN here did it, but he blurred her out because she typically has like a blurry background.
Okay,
That's
yeah,
funny
I
as shit.
understand.
Just made me laugh. Anyway,
It's funny.
that's hilarious.
I found the title. So, I guess just in case I'll kind of allude to like not the last solution, but another word for the
Oh,
last solution.
oh
The
Lord.
last solution to this Catholic quote unquote marriage with radical coder.
Oh
And
gosh.
yeah, so what a phenomenal
You
thing to
didn't
be a
get
part
I
of.
take it you did not get a vote in the title there. They just kind of
No, they just
flung it
kind of
on
threw
you.
that in at me. I might actually ask them if they're willing to change that, just because I don't like that.
Yeah,
I
I
don't really
mean,
I don't like it next to my name.
sure. No, no, no.
I
I
mean, I
mean,
know
like, we've talked about this before. I know I have an irreverent sense of humor, and I'm sure you do too, but there's also a time
I
and a
do.
place. And if you want to, if we're trying to make it bigger in this space, we have to be judicious about when we bust out Family Guy humor, right? Or,
Yeah,
be associated with it. So you have to have some degree
yeah,
of decorum there.
yeah. And
Uh,
I've probably been a little careless with my associations in that regard, just because I thrive so much in these. I luckily I like I hang out with like real people who aren't like hyper political and or aren't like hyper political in the online ways that I am,
hmm
and so like I get comfort in like removing myself from the online stuff and going just like touching grass and doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why one of the reasons I'm able to like survive so well, like engaging with the more like crazies of the internet, because I have that kind of safety net where I'm like, oh, I mean, this impacts reality, but it's not my reality, um, not completely, you know.
Yeah, I think it
Um,
means something when you're not terminally online. That's one of the things, you know, the so I work from home, which helps, right? So
mhm.
I'm able to get chores done throughout the day that I would otherwise, have to do when I got home. But working from home allows me sufficient energy reserves at the end of a workday that I have a social life during the week. Um, when I was working in the office, when I went home during the week, I would not. If someone was like, "Hey, you want to go grab a beer, or do you want to, do this or that, go see a movie?" Even
Yeah.
dating was kind of a chore in the sense that I would only want to do it on weekends because it's like, okay, well, you have traffic in the morning, traffic in the afternoon. you want to go to the gym, you know, you want to do dishes, laundry, etc. and so forth, grocery shop.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And right, and you pile all that up, and it's like, okay, well, now I want time to myself. And working from home has really afforded me quite a degree of social and personal and like romantic flexibility, right? But one of the things I'm trying to do is get better about how I budget my time. So when I recently moved about 5 months ago, about 5.5 months ago, to a new state, a bigger city, and I've loved it. And I made a bunch of friends here because I was aggressively using like the Meetup app and stuff like that. I did not want to be that guy
Yeah, I
who
need to
didn't
try
have.
that out. I'm going back. I lived in Orlando for a long time. I'm going back to near that area, and think I'm gonna have to like start connecting with new people again.
I would recommend the Meetup app in particular. I'd never heard of it until I moved to my current location, and one of the few friends that I made kind of organically was like, "Look, I'm a transplant here because this is like it's a city well known for transplants," and they're like, "I use the Meetup app." And so it's really, I've had nothing but positive experiences from it. You know, you pick your interests and then you search through groups or associations that have like share your interests. If it's like, archery, it's not my thing, but there are archery groups there. If it's clubbing or socializing, breweries and stuff like that, which is more of my interest. You can join these groups. They have regular events and you meet people there. It's been really good, so I recommend that. But I've been trying to budget in the past couple of weeks my time better. So I told everybody basically Sunday through Wednesday evening, maybe like we'll put Thursday on the fence. I'm not available unless there's like a huge exception. There's like a big concert I want to go to, or somebody's coming in from out of town, or it's somebody's birthday. So basically, if you want to hang out with me, you've got Friday and Saturday, definitely, maybe Thursday. But otherwise, 4 days out of the week, I'm not available because I really want to get more focused on this, on doing content creation. Like I bought it's hidden behind the monitor here, but I bought a little, most of my stuff is improvised, and I found out that a lot of video essayists actually write their stuff down. And for some reason, over the years, I was thinking, my God, they must have eidetic memories because I don't see them look at notes, and they are so fluid in their speech. Well, it turns out they're using little teleprompters, so I bought one, and so I intend to like start scripting stuff out. But then it's like the holidays are approaching, and again, so like I'm getting back in the gym and all this stuff. So like it's I have not made, even though I've been budgeting my time, I've still not been taking advantage of it, right? Like I have not been doing things Sunday through Wednesday, but outside the gym and the occasional stream popping into Destiny's chat, just reading a lot, So I'm trying to be a bit more diligent. What are you doing? Because I know your channel's been putting out more stuff. I think even in like, I thought I saw something, was it this morning or yesterday, that you put another video out of a debate or a conversation you had?
Yeah, it was like a panel it was actually like one of the first panels I hopped on with that family that I've been alluding to. But I went on a panel with them about like marriage, and again they had like a few like manosphere adjacent people, like this guy, the Vital Message, Caduceus is his name, or he calls himself Caduceus. Is the guy who hosted the Black Pill dating show, and he actually just the previous episode of that he hosted with Alex from Playing with Fire. I don't know if you've seen that guy with Destiny. He's talked to him a few times, and I think Vosh has talked to him a couple times too. But so like I started interacting with these people, and I've got like a kind of a backlog of like panels and conversations that I've jumped on like with a lot of these people. But I've been I don't know, just kind of like popping on random panels and stuff, and like interacting with more people and just kind of getting like some recognition, because I don't know, it's just useful. I could poke harder at the bigger names that I know. Like I could probably, like if I like asked to talk to Destiny, he probably would talk to me. But I'm kind of like waiting to. I kind of want to start building up like a little bit more of a grassroots thing before I throw myself like into the lion's den. And
well, when
get,
you
like,
say
as
lion's
many eyes on
den,
me as I might.
Well, when you say Lions
Yeah.
Den, like, would you look to pick what I call picking his brain, so not having like a combative conversation, but just getting his opinions on things, and then if I find something with which I disagree, I will push back, or do you have like particular things you do want to challenge him on?
I'm not sure. I mean, there is we talked about this last time we talked, but there is that the CRT thing and that like math book that he's
Yeah,
used as a rhetorical like bludgeon against like or like with conservatives, but also he's like it not no it's a bludgeon he's using against the left when he's talking to conservatives.
sure.
Um, about how like allegedly this math book says that black kids have to run around the room to learn math, which really like is frustrating to hear. Again, I'm a teacher, you know, I have or like not I don't teach in like public schools or anything, but like I teach and I have students of color as well, you know, and like that's not what this book says. And this book does provide like useful information like about like more individualized learning and like being culturally aware. And and there's again this like one bullet point that says that movement should be incorporated in classrooms, and it's not even like specific to any it's very much not specific to any color of student. Yeah, this is this reference that I've heard him make too many times that so I want to fight him on that, but I'm sure there's I think we're probably gonna have some interesting conversations. I don't know exactly what they'll look like. Um, but
I guarantee you
I
that
don't know.
conversation with Destiny will probably last. That particular part, I bet you'll be
Yeah.
able to get, because I'll give this to him, like, because the first couple of times we talked, I took issue with some particular things, and I want to say it was about, because I felt that he was holding the left to a higher standard than the right, like that he would hyper focus on these relatively niche or minor oversights or issues on the left or from the Democratic Party, whereas I think 99.8% of the problem is on the right. And the few times I've disagreed with him, where I think that it was as decisive as something like the CRT math book thing, where it's not even a matter of opinion. It just sounds like he's not quite up to date on the facts. I think as soon as you present that to him, he'll do what he usually does when he's confronted by that, which is just give a very generous concession. He'll be like, "Oh, yeah, okay, I didn't know that." You know, he might ask you for a link or whatever, and he
Yeah.
may still say, you know, there are other instances, these isolated instances of like cringe overreach by, well-intentioned woke teachers. I'm sure that happens, and I'm sure you would agree with that. But I guarantee you, if what you say is true, within 10 minutes, he'll be, "Oh, yeah, sure, okay, my bad. I'll keep that
Yeah.
in mind moving
Yeah, no,
forward."
and I agree with that. I don't think it's going to be like a heated like clash. So I don't know how to describe it. I guess there's just an anxiety about it. And I want to have I want to have more people know who I am before I go into it. But it's not just Destiny. Like it's the having a conversation with Destiny might open up doors where I can have conversations with other people around Destiny. Um, who again a lot of I mean I like I've I like Tread Logic offered to like raid me once, but I wasn't streaming, so I would have gotten like 600 people piling into my Twitch stream, which would have been cool. Um, so like I feel like I have these doors that are
Adjacent,
kind of
kind of
like
ajar a little bit.
yeah, exactly. They're like a little bit ajar, and I haven't like really been like, all right, it's time to open the door, time to open this door, and like um I don't know. Maybe I should just kind of like dive in, you know. But I've been hesitant to without building up a little bit first.
Far be it
And
for me to tell you what to do, but I think you should, because I mean, I don't get
yeah,
nervous very easy, but there were times that I was intimidated just by the size of Destiny's audience, right? I mean, I've never
that's
been in a
it. Yeah.
situation like that. He's obviously very competent in what he does, but I was not I never expected that he would just like tear into me or anything like that.
Hmm.
But there's something about the sheer number of eyes that are on you in that inaugural moment. I
Yeah.
think though you'll have an easier time probably than what you expect, because you're always, I shouldn't say you're always, but you are very often, particularly for a smaller streamer like myself, you are very often in contentious situations, being on the
Hmm.
Crucible at all. I mean, I think I'll give Andrew, that's the chain smoking moderator's name, right? Andrew.
That's his name. Yeah.
I will give him credit in the Crucible episodes I've seen. he is a very good moderator, like very, very
Yeah,
good from
he
what I
is.
can tell, even though he's clearly he's Big Papa fascist, right?
Yep, that's what he calls himself. I used to make fun of him and call him like Big Baby Fascist.
Fascist.
And
Baby's first
when he
fascist.
first yeah, when he would introduce him as that back in the day, when he was on like politically provoked, like he would always say this like line like, "Oh, I'm not," it's like a joke, like I'm not really a fascist, but I think fascism was like better than what we have now, and I'm always like,
It sounds like
well,
something a
that's
fascist would say.
exactly that's like almost like tautologically what makes him fascist, like,
Right. Listen, I'm not really a fascist. I just prefer fascism. Oh, okay.
yes.
Yeah. But no, I mean, so
But I
like
actually,
the fact that
oh,
you're
go
well,
ahead.
the fact that you're in these situations and more than once, and it seems like you seek them out. I think you'll be fine. I
Mhm.
think if that initial flood of adrenaline that you will probably feel in the moment, the
Yeah,
only advice I will give you the first time or two, do not look at his chat. Do not look at his
that's
chat. Don't do it. Not even
that's
because
a good that's
not even
good
because I
advice.
think that they'll like ream you or anything, but you don't want that additional. You ever notice
Too
that
much
like at a
input.
live
Too much input.
performance, singers will sing with their eyes closed? Like when they're like hitting
Yeah,
these high
yeah.
notes, they close their eyes. They're not like staring the entire time. I think there's a reason for that. I think they're like, I've got to hit this note. It needs to be as perfect as possible, and I don't need to see people seeing me. So that's what I would encourage you to do. Do not look at his chat,
Yeah.
not for the first two
Yeah,
times.
I think I should take that advice, and I think I will. I think I'll yield to that. I was gonna mention on the Andrew thing. I've actually, like, even in this past in this past couple weeks, I ended up on a Discord call where him and I were just arguing for 3 hours. It's we didn't neither of us were getting content from it. Like, we're just going back and forth. Um, and it was interesting. And I think I don't know if I mentioned this in the last talk, if we talked about Andrew much, but like it makes me sad a lot when I think about Andrew because he's like he works on like robotics and stuff, which is fascinating. And I'm a computer scientist, so like there's a lot of really interesting intersections that I feel like in another world we could have like really cool conversations. But instead it's like how come you want to give hormone blockers to 4-year-olds? And I'm like, I don't. Nobody does. And he's like, well, yes, they do. And source, I made it up, but like that's why are you defending this? And I'm like, well, stop. I'm not. um, I don't know. It's just it's very frustrating. Um,
The fact that you have like kind of you're a bit of a masochist for that sort of frustration, I think you'll be fine. Just don't let the chat intimidate you, and especially with your disposition, I think you and Destiny will have a
yeah,
really good conversation. My buddy
I think so
Stacks,
too.
um, my buddy of mine from TikTok, really good dude, hilarious, very smart.
Mhm.
We were able to get him on to have a conversation with Destiny, and he was talking about. Um, Something about cracking down on misinformation. Stacks was making the case, and I think it was fair that um, the idea that you can have untrammeled free speech, that there's a good argument to be made against that because, of course, there are major consequences. You look at like especially medical misinformation and all these things.
Mhm.
And he copped to it. Like in the first 5 minutes, he was pretty awkward. He was pretty uncomfortable. And he even said, he goes, look, I'm just a little bit intimidated at the moment. And Destiny was like, dude, just take your time. You're good. Um,
Yeah, yeah. No, he is very what's the word? Like he's definitely he can be very comforting if he recognizes that you're like in over you're like maybe out of your depth or not out of your depth, out of your league, like in terms of the chat you're talking about with so many people there, and there's a lot of pressure just being on a large stream like that. Um,
yeah, he's
like
got
a
uh,
few,
he's
yeah, go
got
ahead.
good bedside manner when he wants it.
Yeah, I believe it. Um, yeah, that's interesting. I'm glad we talked about this. It's gonna give me a little more comfort to go into that.
Yeah,
Um,
you really should. I think unless you have no interest in growing your platform anytime soon, like you're in an off season or you're taking a break, which fair enough, but
No,
clearly you're
I think
not.
now's the moment for me.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think I'm really that's why I've been like associating with so many more people now. I'm like I think it's time for me to just kind of dive in and see what I can do because the thing that I think I have besides like my long history like with like debating right wingers and stuff, is that on top of that I can also teach people how to code, and like cool things like this. So I kind
Are
of
you
have this
saying they
like,
can learn to code? Is that what this is?
well, a little bit.
Do you remember?
I
Do you
think
remember that
everyone can.
phrase that was
Oh yeah,
popular?
I'm
Okay,
familiar. I'm
yeah.
very familiar. It frustrates me because I think everyone actually can learn to code, and I don't. It makes me really sad that like people treat it as like a very scary, like you have to be a computer whisperer or whatever, um, like which is very much not the case. Like it's there's so many avenues that you can go in. Like if you want to like you're not going to be like programming like a Raspberry Pi to control like the drawers in your house in like a day or anything, but like I mean, there's so many ways that you can like you can build a website in like a day, and you'll be like, oh, okay, I understand the basics of what's going on here.
I'll take your word for it, man.
And
You saw you saw how long it took to get my in Streamlabs under control here, and it was a
I have the
challenge.
same issues with Streamlabs. I can't handle it.
Aaron says, I think DGG chat is more left wing than Destiny 2. YouTube chat's another story. Yeah, YouTube chat. I think it'll be more likely that they savage you or attempt to.
Sure.
But DGG chat in general has been very, very nice to me, so I expect that they'll be very nice to you.
Yeah. And there's also like weird things that I'm already seeing just in my like, because I've already got like I have a guy who puts on my name and on Cozy TV in Cozy TV chats, and I don't know what he's saying in these, but like I got a message from Brittany, the politically provoked host, like asking me if I was in her chat, and I was like sleeping, and I was like, no, what? And she's like, oh no, they gave it away. They said you had a 4-inch dick, and I was like, okay, well that's yeah, I
Damn.
mean, well, true, but that's not me, okay. Um, but like, so like I've got this person, and then someone else asked me like, oh, are you in Ali Alexander's chat right now? I'm like, no, I don't fucking watch Cozy. I go in and fight with the people in Cozy.
Who is
I don't,
Ali
like,
Alexander?
big conspiracy theorist guy who recently has started streaming on Cozy. But yeah, so I'm already seeing like these things happen, and in like Discords, I've got people like diving into my personal life already and like throwing like weird shit at me, and that's also the kind of stuff that I'm like, I'm gonna have to deal with so much of that if I really push on this. And I just, it's intimidating. I think I can handle it, but like, fuck.
I think so far, I mean, you've definitely proven it. I mean, in the conversations I've seen you have, you keep your cool. You don't show much sign, like you don't evince any overt signs of nervousness. So if you are nervous, if you're like your blood pressure is spiked, you keep it under control. Eat the Chef says, Ruminate, we always had faith in you to straighten out your Streamlabs. Your faith is sorely misplaced, my friend.
We'll learn. We'll both figure it out, man.
Dude, there again, it's funny. I mean, Streamlabs, the reason I went with that as opposed, so I used the service Restream. I liked Restream a lot, but shit, it was expensive, right? Because I wanted, 1080p recording. I'm like I am very, very specific and very particular about my setup, about like even stuff you can't see on screen. Like I have to have things exact. I can't stand to have a mess. I can't stand to have a crappy setup. Like, so that's part of the reason why, like, you don't know how long I fiddled around with that light back there, getting the particular color tone, the intensity, getting the right cast on the wall, angling that Def Leppard. Then there's a Journey poster above it, a drum top there signed by members of Journey. Like getting all this crap like arranged in a way that is aesthetically pleasing. I'm very particular about. Yeah. And Restream was great because it was very user friendly. Like it had most of the widgets built in, and if you wanted to do a screen share, you didn't have to set anything up in properties. You just click 2 buttons and then boom, whatever you wanted there. It had a lobby so you could pull people in. You didn't have to, mess around with the size of Discord windows like I had. It was super, super user friendly, but it was expensive. Yeah. And finally, I was like, I just can't justify this, especially as small of a streamer as I am. I can't do it. So a friend recommended.
You'll get there though. I mean, you've got, man. I love listening to you, and you've also been popping up on YouTube Shorts. I've been seeing those popping up in my feed, and like you getting tons of like angry comments, and they're like, "Oh, he's not joking," and I'm like, "That's right, motherfuckers."
Well, yeah. So the sad thing is, it's funny. I mean, so that's one thing I've really struggled with because I don't know how much. I don't know about you. I don't know if you've done a lot of research or anything. I've done a bit of research, but so much of my stuff is trial and error. It really is just like
Yeah.
incremental tweaks along the way. The reason I'm doing YouTube Shorts is it kind of hit me like, I had my biggest success on TikTok, but I've like tapped out at about 21,000 or 20.5 thousand followers, and I basically plateaued in that regard.
Hmm.
And I usually have fairly successful TikTok lives, but I was like, a friend pointed out, well, like, dude, if you're doing TikToks, if you can stop doing the 3-minute TikTok videos and get it under 60 seconds, you can also post those as YouTube shorts and then post them on Twitter. I'm like, duh, that's genius, of course.
True.
And so the vast majority of my TikToks for the past 6 weeks or so have been under or about a minute long or under. So I can then just copy and paste it and dump it on YouTube under hashtag shorts. And it's nice to see some of them go viral, right? Because it's relatively low effort, You're doing it from your
Yeah.
phone, which is kind of cool, but also kind of annoying because I spent, money on this DSLR and whatnot. So I want to be able to do it. I want to be able to actually record small video essays and short form content that's longer than a minute, but not 3 hours necessarily. But I'm thinking, okay, you got to maximize your effort, right? You got to optimize your setup. If you're already doing TikTok, just make it so you can mass produce it, put it on YouTube. And I have gotten engagement from it, but it's also kind of disheartening because even though I love brawling with, I shouldn't say I love, because actually I want to persuade these people. Part of me wants to verbally beat them up and just kind of give vent to my frustrations with the direction I think that they're taking this country. But I do also want to persuade people. And so it's kind of frustrating when most of the engagement you get from these videos, you get a ton of views, but it's like a 3-to-1 ratio negative to positive, right? I don't know if that's if you've run into that or anything. On TikTok, it's different, right? The most of the engagement that I get is very positive. I'll get conservatives who, complain in the comments section, but they are vastly outnumbered by people who like what I have to say. But on YouTube, it's very, very different. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
My experience, sorry. Yeah, my experience with that is similar, but in a different way because it's not like I have those eyes on my content that I've been uploading, but there's a lot of people in right-wing spheres who know who I am because I would go on, I mean the far right especially, because I would go on Cozy TV, I would go on like Politically Provoked when they were growing, I go on the Crucible, like I engage with all of these people, and so all of their fans know who I am. And there's this air of respect about me as like the one of the progressives in the room who can hang, I guess. But like none of those people are like coming to subscribe to my channel. We're very few, like very, very few, and far between. So it's I get that vibe that you're describing from that.
Yeah, and there's something about it. So again, like there's part of the lizard brain that feeds off, so that is part of the reason why I engage so often in Destiny's comment section on videos that they upload about, that I'm part of, or that Brain Rot Politics, or people who do that, is because I don't really seek people out on, or comments out on, videos that have nothing to do with me. But if they're about a friend, like if you had a conversation with Destiny, for example, and they uploaded it to either the main channel, the secondary channel, or the third channel, if it got uploaded, I would probably, I'd like the video and, leave a comment. And then if I saw that people were like ganging up on you, I'd probably step in and just, try to run my mouth too at them. But besides that, the only time I really engage in comment sections is if it's one of my videos. But I engage a lot. Like when they put a video up of a conversation he and I have, or a conversation that Luke Beasley and I have, or whatever, I'm in the comment section a lot because I do want the engagement. I want people to see that,
Yeah.
you know, I'm willing to discuss these things with them, hopefully in a humorous way, in a witty way, in a well-sourced way. But I do want that engagement, and I'm hoping I can persuade people. But the channel growth has been slow, and a lot of it doesn't help the fact that I'm actually kind of surprised I'm streaming because I did it for several months last year, and I hated it. I hated it because I'm not a gamer. I'm really not. Like, outside of a very few niche games like The Witcher 3 and Halo's just pure nostalgia at this point, I don't play games. And when you don't have an audience, it's kind of awkward to just like, so
Yes.
this is what's going on in politics, and then you're having like imaginary conversation. Well, I thank you, audience member. Well, thank you for asking. That's a great question, and actually nobody's there. And it was tough. And also, even though I think I'm pretty well informed on contemporary politics and current events, I also don't want to be that guy who has a really ill-formed hot take, and it happens. It's kind of embarrassing when anybody does it, even when big streamers. It's embarrassing when Destiny does it, when Vosh does it, when whoever does it. Like, so I try to avoid hot takes as much as possible.
Smart.
So that's another reason why I don't like to stream, is because you don't want to come off like a dilettante. It's cool if you get things wrong because you can't know everything, about everything.
Yeah,
But
I am a gamer, a little bit more Nintendo games mainly. I'm a big Pokemon fan. I play Smash Bros. And like all this fun stuff.
did you catch them all?
I mean, my Pokemon Go account's pretty stacked. Like I'm level 50. I've got like over like 1,200 or so shinies. Like I play Pokemon pretty heavy. So I've been trying to catch them all. I was like 5 years old and I heard that God catch them all, and I was like, okay, yeah, I guess I do. And I've been trying to do it ever since. But I mean, someone in your chat mentioned Factorio, and it is actually really good. I have played a few hundred hours of Factorio, so that might be something that I do passively. But also, I've had a couple live streams recently on my channel, that like when I'll go on a show, and then like I'll have these people send their audience like over to my channel, and then I've got like.
Wait,
this
you'll
chat that I
set
can
it up in
engage with.
advance so like people can expect that you'll be streaming. You're going to be streaming.
That's
Like,
what I'm gonna have to do.
no, but is that what you were doing when you were having
No,
people? Okay.
the one of the live streams I'm thinking. Oh, I guess there's two that I'm thinking of. Actually, only really one that was just like really really on point. I did a debate with again this Black Pillar guy, the Vital Message. We did a debate on the Thorpe's channel about like trans issues, and like it was, and I think it was a really like he's a nice guy, and like we had a really productive dialogue, honestly. And I thought it was really good, and then they sent their whole audience over to my channel right afterwards, so I was like, yeah, I'll go live. And so I had like all these people asking me questions, and I was like, I thrive really well when I have a bunch of people asking me questions. Like I'm crazy ADHD. Like I can just bounce from like point to point to point to point, and like just go all over the place, and be memey and like fun. And it was just a blast. And so like when I have like even just like I think there was like 15 or so people in there, but my chat was just flying because I had these like all these engaged people. And like that's kind of like if I can foster that just a little bit more, then I could probably start streaming like regularly, and like the content's just gonna flow.
Can you rely on the people at least like to get you a steady start? Like the people that you contacted to send their audience over to you, I assume that's a raid, right? That's what you call a raid.
Kinda. It wasn't. I don't think, because these are. I think bigger channels, like once you're like monetized and stuff, I think you can do like real raids on YouTube now. I don't know if you can do that with like tiny channels. Maybe you can. I'm not sure. But
when
I
you
mean,
send people from a bigger audience, right? I assume that's what you were doing. You were reaching out to somebody who has a larger, more consistent audience than you, and they were sending people over to your stream. Can you?
Yeah, the casual term for it is a raid. But there's like also like there's like real like official YouTube raids now.
Can you count on them to do that? Like so let's say next week you say you're going to stream 3 times a week. Could you do you think that you could reasonably rely on the person or people who sent you people in the past to at least get you started? Like, you can count on 10, 15, 20 people, whatever it
Yeah.
is, and then because
I
that
think
would clearly help, given how your brain works, right? It would help stimulate you. It would give points of conversation. It would have organic dialogue, and that would make the content better, which would presumably accelerate that growth curve, right? So it would be like more vertical instead of just dragging on. That was what mine did. I didn't have anybody
Yeah.
that I could get to send people to my stream a year ago. So it was just people in my personal life and a couple of online friends. And of course, because they're all over the place in terms of time, it wasn't like a very steady audience. And even when I was streaming, they really weren't engaged. They were just viewing for my benefit. They weren't like actively listening. So I feel like if you could do that, like, that'd be huge,
Yeah, and I do think I actually made a list the other day of like because I'm in just a ton of different Discords, and I've had small, like, brief conversations with so many different creators that, like, I know enough people with like decently large size audiences that if I can get them to like promote me a little bit, that like I could get, a handful of people from this community, a handful of people from that one, and like kind of pull all this together to get like a good starting, like, here's like 20 to 30 people in here. And so that's what I'm hoping I can make happen when I do what you're describing, which is, but I'm also moving at the end of the month, so I'm kind of like everything's kind of crazy right now. So it's hard to commit myself to like, oh, I'm going to stream this day and this day and this day at these times, because I just don't know if I'm going to be available right now.
Sure.
So that's, yeah. Yeah, that what you're saying is definitely like that's the plan right now.
Well, and I'm happy to, so one of the things that's about Streamlabs, and Stacks and I are still trying to figure this shit out, is you know about the collab cam widget on Streamlabs, where you can
I saw it recently. I haven't used it.
You should check it out, and if you can, and I'm happy to try test it out with you as well. And it's supposedly a way that you and another person or multiple people can simul stream. Not just you join somebody else's stream, all three of you joining simultaneously, and you're able to go basically into this ethereal lobby on Streamlabs, and none of you are a guest. You're all hosting, like it's all your stuff. I've not been able to do that, but that would be great too, because I tried to stream the other day, and I jumped into a conversation with Destiny, and I thought there was another person there. It may have been, I don't think it was IRI. Maybe it was IRI. It was IRI. And I was not going to show my camera because I was streaming from my side. And whenever I try to turn my camera on, that's why I don't have my camera on in our Discord chat, because it will de-res the webcam. Like, I can't have two simultaneous webcam sources.
Do you have like Snap Camera?
Beg your pardon?
There's an app called Snap Camera that's free, and you can use it. It's like a digital you should check it. You should check out Snap Camera. I think it will resolve the issue. Snap Camera. Yeah. It will resolve the issue that you're describing, I believe.
Damn, all right. Is it wait a minute, does it look like this?
So I have to wait for the stream to, I need to click the live button to make sure I'm up to date. I don't see anything yet. Okay, I think you're about to ask me, does it look like this? It's so strange. Yes, that's the one.
Perfect.
I believe.
Perfect.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Excellent app. I've been using that to be able to have my camera appeal to multiple sources without using any weird technology. Yeah.
That's good,
Yeah,
because
it's fantastic.
I could not figured it out. So when Destiny was like, Ruminate, turn your camera on, I was like, shit. I'm not going to pass up the opportunity, but now I have to end my stream. You know what I mean? Like,
Not anymore.
No, I'm glad, because I've been on like Streamlabs. They have a really responsive Discord server, and I'm like, guys, I need a way to. That's part of the reason why I did not record any of my conversations with Destiny or whatnot until most recently because I couldn't figure out even like a half-assed attempt. And that's the other thing too. I'm telling you, man, I cannot stand, like, I would rather, I'm that guy when I'm typing up an essay, if I get 3/4 of the way through it and I do not like the prose, like just the sheer flow of language, if I can't quickly edit it and correct it, I'll delete the damn thing and start from scratch. Like, that's how my brain works. Like, that's how very particular I am. And so that's why I didn't record this shit. Like, I thank God that you know, Destiny and others, and Luke Beasley, you know, that they will record the conversations and upload it on their channels because at least it's some exposure. But no, so like if you start streaming regularly, and you let me know to whatever extent that I can help out, happy to do it. And you know,
appreciate it.
Conversations with people like Stax would be a good person to talk to. Luke Beasley would be another one. STV Philly.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Big fan of STV Philly. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
And Destiny and all them too. I'm hoping eventually that I can parlay it into. My biggest regret is not getting on Hippy Dippy before it shut down.
Fucking right.
And I'm sure
so unfair.
You feel this way too. Like there is something about a one-on-one debate, but there's also something about at least I do, if I had to knock Hippy Dippy for anything, if there's anything about Hippy Dippy that was frustrating, was almost, I felt like the sheer volume of people, but like a 2-on-2 or a 3-on-3, where you're able to have these group dynamics, right? So that if you have a brief moment where you falter, your teammate or whatever can step up and take over, like that sort of duck and weave, you know, style of, if you look at it like as a team sport, which perhaps you shouldn't, but you know what I'm talking about, like being able to do that.
I understand the dynamic you're describing, and I agree it's a nice one. I really enjoy 2v2s. Like, I mean, although now I guess it sounds like I don't know if I'll continue to be I don't know if I'll collaborate with this person again, but I did that debate with Andrew, or that debate against Andrew, like with Lav. And that was kind of the dynamic we had going on there. So all of the craziness with her recently has been kind of disappointing because I don't know if I want to.
That will probably, I don't know too much about it all other than to say that I think prolonged any sort of like ongoing interaction with her or Mr. Girl will not do you any favors for Destiny.
Oh yeah, there's. Like I said, like with the I've always been very much like there were things like when Mr. Girl was first talking to Destiny that I was like, okay, there are some things here that I'd like to push back on that might be interesting, but then I'm like, because of, you know, all of his particular controversies and me like teaching, it's like. I just don't want. I just don't even ever want to see our names like pop up on the same title. You know,
probably wouldn't be a good guest speaker to have in the classroom.
Exactly.
You know, and
I know the chat's like Lav. I get it. You know what? She did really well in this debate that we had against Andrew and Rachel. Honestly, we did really well together in that. For better or for worse, you know, whatever she's off doing now. I enjoyed this one collaboration. I guess we sort of teamed up again in a different one earlier against like Infrared Has on Modern Day Debate, which was funny.
Well, that's interesting. So like that's the reason I bring that up. So like which I've discussed this before, one of the most humiliating moments in my quote unquote online life. And I've been arguing and debating with people, usually just through text on message boards since I was in 8th grade, right? And it was usually about who would beat who in a fight, you know, Superman or Batman, whatever. I mean, then it got into politics and real world events as time went on. But probably the single biggest surprise and humiliation I ever felt in my life was my conversation with Rob Noor. And I've discussed this. I've been very candid because I try not to have an ego about these things. But it was terrible. It was just atrocious. And I did not appreciate Rob Noor's talents because I'd only ever seen him in panel discussions. And in panel discussions, he's considerably less impressive as a rhetorician and as a debater, and it's just like a force of nature. Like, he's a very fast talker. He knows a lot of information about niche issues, like conspiracy theories about this blog on, James Comey and Ray Epps and all this stuff, and this particular obscure study about COVID. But he's the things on which he spends his time. He's very well versed on, like, quick recall knowledge, and most of them are about conspiracy theories from very obscure sources. And I'm not conversant in that at all. And when he's on panels, that didn't manifest itself. Like when he was on Hippy Dippy, I remember thinking to myself, just being candid about him and Lecture Fan and the others, and thinking, my God, these people are really stupid, right? Because but it was because that did not play to their strengths. Even if they had help, when it was Lecture Fan and Rob Noor, they were up against Vosh and Destiny, right? And so there was like the rhythms and the pattern of the dialogue. You were basically, they are at their best when they're able to lock you in, and there's nobody else who can step in. Nobody has to step in when they're weak. It's just one-on-one, and you're in a room with them, and they're able to pull, like, again, these very weird, obscure sources about this particular blog that proves that Fauci was doing gain-of-function research, on COVID, or that Ray Epps was a FBI plant in January 6th, and it's shit that you have no idea, because it's crazy conspiracy stuff that has no real corroboration, right? So you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But it gave me a new appreciation. I'm like, okay, this is not somebody that I can just walk into a room with and it not be a topic on which I have very little expertise or very little interest, because he'll just performatively destroy me. And he did. And so
I haven't watched it, but from the way you describe it, it sounds like it didn't go well for you.
If you can make it 30 minutes in, you are truly a masochist. Like, if you ever need, like, if you have some sort of weird, like, humiliation fetish or kink fetish, and you just need to feel like cringe manifest, find that VOD.
Watch it, honestly.
Find it.
I might seek it out. But,
oh my God!
If
you do, don't tell me. If you do, don't tell me. Like, I'm not easily embarrassed.
I'll try not to bring it up.
I'm not easily embarrassed, but I will, like, slide under. Like, I'm like, oh no.
Sure.
Yeah, no, it was bad. But my point is, I want to see what that group dynamic would be like. Somebody like Sean, Actual Justice Warrior, Nuance Bro, Lawrence Southern, it's interesting to see them. It's interesting to see people like Vosh or Destiny or Econoboy or Dylan Burns or whoever take these conservatives on when it's like a team sport thing. I don't know. There's something about the pattern, the rhythm, if you are weak.
Music.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, it really is. And so you've had actually much more experience with, especially recorded or streamed group discussions, group debates.
Yeah.
Am I crazy, or do you genuinely agree that it genuinely is a different dynamic?
Yeah, no, it is. I definitely agree with you, and it gives you room to breathe, like in between, like you, because. I was gonna say, like, all the things that you described about Rob that are frustrating, and the ways that are kind of a relief when he's kind of paired up against a couple other people. I feel like a lot of these dynamics were some of the and a couple of them inverted, but like a lot of these were like the ways that made it so good for me when I like did this impromptu debate with him and Andrew, because like Andrew like has some modicum of respect for me, so he was like at time, he goes back and forth on whether he's like really engaging or not, but there was enough of that, and it was a topic. It was critical race theory, so like Rob, I definitely knew a lot more about it than Rob, and a lot more about it than Andrew, and so like they were like asking me questions that I didn't have good answers to, but I was able to kind of navigate the chat with a little bit more leeway, just because of Andrew's occasional charitability and Rob having like a little bit of humility to like not speak too much on like especially such a sensitive topic as like when I'm telling you that like critical race theory is like this thing that like race is not biological, and he's like like Rob Narr is not going to be like, well, yes, it is actually, you know. So I think it was just a a lucky moment. Although like barely anyone's seen this debate, so it's that's
You should
I'm glad to
definitely.
have this back catalog.
Well, and you should also, one of the things that I've got to get better on, because I do my own editing, and I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah,
And there
I just
again,
yeah half the time I just won't edit at all.
see, that's
I'll
the
just throw it up
thing.
there.
Sometimes I feel that urge, but because I'm so particular, like I love having like, and I even, okay, even our video that I went back and uploaded, of the discussion we had a week ago. So, like the chat pointed out, your volume, and it's not your volume, but your volume on my setup was messed up because I can hear you just fine. So I'm thinking
Well,
they can hear you.
also this mic wasn't connected at that time. To be fair, like I was using my Bluetooth headphone mic, which is I didn't even realize until like halfway through our conversation, and
I'm still pretty
yeah,
sure it was on my end because again, in my headset, it was like you were here in person. So
okay.
my brain was like, well, I see the lines moving here, so they can hear you and I can hear you perfectly, so they'll be able to hear you perfectly. When I threw that sumbitch in Premiere Pro, like I could be heard very well, but you were very, very, very muted. So what I had to do was I had to go through, and it wasn't perfect because finally I just like threw in the towel, but I had to splice the audio because it was one audio file, so I had to like clip it.
Sure.
And when I was
Oh, man.
talking, I did nothing with it. When you were talking, I had to go in and like raise it by like 60%, and I had to do that every time. So it took hours.
Oh my God.
And there was like
Yeah,
a couple of
that-
times
wow.
where like we would refer to conservatives engaging in cancel culture. And I like having visual aid and whatnot. So like normally with my short video essays or my conversations, I'll like clip in, like a BuzzFeed article, 16 times that the anti-cancel culture right try to cancel people, like when we're talking about it. So that way it's popping up on the screen right here. So people, like, I love that because to me that looks
Yeah,
good.
that's
And
cool.
I like it when people do that in videos I watch.
Yeah.
But when you're the guy doing all that, you're doing the recording, you're doing the editing, you've got to hunt down the screen clips, you got to animate them the right way because, I'm trying to get better. Like when I recorded the video and I took your YouTube banner so it was under you, I didn't want it to just pop up. I wanted to slide in and stay under you. And then I forgot after I uploaded it, but by then it was too late because I wasn't going to go through that shit again. There are times in the conversations that I switch scenes in our dialogue and it bumps you down, right? But your YouTube bar was blocking my face because I didn't move it in the editing. So it's like just all this
man.
shit. And sometimes,
Yeah.
dude, it just gets so overwhelming. So I feel like
Yeah.
if you don't have that obsessive need to edit, you're probably better off. You are probably better off just like doing what you're doing, which is just grinding this shit out, having the recorded conversations, getting it up on your channel. And then if and when you get to the point where you can hire an editor, let them do it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like that's the
Yeah,
dream.
and I empathize very much with your like what you're just the feeling you're describing though, because like I don't like I'm very ADHD, but I also am very OCD. So like when I talk about Pokemon and shit, like when I play a Pokemon game, like nowadays, or when I play any game really, I'm like planning out everything that I'm like I'm gonna do all of these things. I'm gonna 100% this game. I'm gonna do this and this and that, and I'm gonna make like a checklist and go through all, and then I can't, and it's like crippling, because that manifests in like a lot of other areas of my life, in that way, and like so I have that urge to like want everything to be perfect, want that, and then but there's none of it that I can even get like halfway there, like, and so it's like I kind of just have to throw it out there because I'll just lose my mind.
Right. You almost have to have some like you just almost have to say an F it, like I'm just dropping this and I've got to distance myself from it. I've had to do that a
that's
couple
exactly
of times.
the mindset.
The fact that we're having this conversation right now is kind of an F it moment because I didn't plan this stream. I was like, okay. Last night I've been between weekend social life and gym participation and all these things. Like, my sleep schedule has been jacked up. So last night I crashed at 8 p.m. and I am a light sleeper. And if I take anything more than a power nap, I'm groggy. And when I wake up, I have a hard time getting back to sleep. Like, it's the worst possible, like, circadian rhythms that you could imagine. So I wake up at 9:15 p.m., an hour and 15 minutes later, and I'm done. I'm like, okay, I'm groggy, but there's no way I'll be able to stay asleep. So I've got to slowly wake back up. But now I won't be going to bed till 3 a.m. Like, I'm cooked. So then I was like, okay, well, you haven't scripted anything, so we're just going to keep putting that off. Finally, using this teleprompter that you paid so much money for, we'll put that off. And it's midterm season. It's good fodder for content. So just do a midterm video. So I pulled up a Fox video, and I fired it up, and I recorded a 40-minute dissection of this Fox video. Dropped it into Premiere Pro, and realized that I never turned my mic on.
I literally yesterday I recorded, like, it was like 40 minutes of me watching and responding to because there was this, there was a clip of a Thorpe stream that Andrew had watched on the Crucible, and I was in this clip like several times. I mean, I was all throughout, and so like I'm kind of like pushing back, or not pushing. I don't know. There was like a weird. It was a weird conversation about saying that the Crucible was does like Russian Orthodox Christian propaganda or something like this, and I was kind of asking more about this because I don't know. I think the sentiment that I was getting was that it was that he's alleging that like the ideologies align, not that like Andrew's like a front for like a Russian media firm or some shit, but like in any case, it's like a 23-minute long clip that Andrew was responding to on his stream. Or no, it was 23 minutes of like Andrew, and then I was watching this and giving my like clarity of like how my interactions in that kind of derailed some things, and it was kind of confusing, and clarifying what I felt like was going on. And I recorded this like 40 to 50-minute long video, and then I did what I threw it in the editing software, and there's no audio from the video.
And you just want to go.
I just threw it away. I was like, all right, I'll do it again.
Yeah. No.
Live, like I'll stream it and do it.
Yeah, you pull a Bill O'Reilly. We'll do it live. He had that viral moment like 20 years ago. But anyway, no, man, I think it's good. I think if you're able to subdue that, and I've got to get better about it too. I've got to make my mind up if I do want to stream. And I think I've enjoyed like these discussions, but it would be a pure politics stream, and or I would be, I don't know. I doubt I'll play a game. I'll occasionally, like when I'm bored, like piddle around with Halo multiplayer because I can just tune out and whatever. But I think, I mean, everyone says like it's just the regularity, right? Yes, of course it's the content, but the most important thing early on is frequency, and so I just have to commit to that because I'm the sort of person that quality is more important to me than frequency. And to me, if the quality is not right, I won't do a thing frequently. And so if you are able to just, I don't know, just grind it out like it seems like you have been, I think you need to poke Destiny, have a conversation with him. And I think it'll be big, especially now that the midterms are still, like he says he's going to Georgia to canvass, right? So right now, it seems like he's leaving his centricity arc, to recognize who the true threat is, the conservative movement in the United States. So now might be a good time to have this conversation, especially hopefully now that the drama stuff is starting to subside, and really leverage that moment.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I don't know even if you're in a position to. But, if you were able to canvas in Georgia, that'd probably be a big one, too, because I think Dylan Burns is going to be canvassing. I don't know if he and Destiny will be there at the same time. Femboy Maths, Maya. Yeah. Are you familiar with Femboy Maths?
Yes, I am, yeah.
She's awesome. I canvassed with her we live in the same state, so I canvassed with her and her group She was the state lead. She was awesome. She was excellent. And
Do you know when they're going? Like, what's the timeline on this?
I have no idea. That's why I've been pushing Destiny. I will definitely be in Georgia with Maya in the last weekend, or the weekend before the election. So the election will be on Tuesday, December 6th. So I will be there. I think it's December 2nd and December 3rd. I don't know if that's when Destiny's going to go, because I don't think his team have set anything up concretely. I'm hoping that he will follow through with it. And, they're, even though we still technically have the majority, regardless of the outcome, it's really important for us to pick up that extra seat, because we will then have a surplus that we will no longer be held hostage by Kyrsten Sinema or Joe Manchin. Probably one of them, but not both. So it's really, 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 really important that we get this seat. And I'm hoping he feels that urgency and that he'll go through with it. So that's why I'm just twice today, I just was like, hey, that's why I was giving him updates, want to make sure. So, but I'll be there.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's not a super, a few hour drive for me.
Right.
So that's very interesting. That would be a cool thing to do. It'd be good to be a part of, and it would definitely be a really awesome networking opportunity, and just all around, just like a super positive thing that I could be contributing.
I'll send you
benefit from.
I'll
That's
send you the
fascinating.
links to Maya's group, but she has two groups. That she has one group she runs, and then she's a state lead with another group, so she doesn't run it, but she's high up on the food chain. I'll send you both, and because I think they're doing a combined thing. It's the one is Progressive Victory 2022. It's the one that Vosh is loosely affiliated with. And then she has her own Progress Libs, and so I think they're kind of combining it, and so they'll be there at least one weekend. I may try to get up there too. Also for networking purposes, it'd be great if, because I also reached out to Luke Beasley, the David Pakman correspondent.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, he's awesome. Sharp kid. I mean, just
he really is
sharp. He's interested in going. Stacks as well, so I'm hoping it could be. An IRI said he was going to go if Destiny goes, so I think it'd be a real cool tour de force. Not just me, of course, but yes, the small streamer Destiny, he could contribute something to it, I'm sure. But no, it'd be really cool. But I think it's a really good opportunity for you, man. I would really encourage you.
I think you're right. I think that's something I might seriously be able to do. Also, just I think the timing's right that I can take advantage of that. That's really interesting. Definitely send me more details about that. I'm very intrigued.
Aaron says, get IRI to bug Destiny about Georgia 2. Destiny knows he should, but I'm worried he might be lazy with all the personal drama going on with him.
Yeah.
See, that's the other thing.
I
can't drama farm. I can't, man. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that there aren't times. I love pop culture, so I love scripted drama. I love Game of Thrones and The Wire and The Sopranos and Breaking Bad. So drama there's something about it. But I like fake drama. I don't like reality TV drama. It's really awkward for me, and I can't do it. So that's why every now and then
I like it, and I enjoy it. But no, sorry, you're about to.
No, I was just saying every now and then. So in the past week or so, when this is going on, and I'll just listen for a few minutes onto their stream or whatnot, and I'll be like, so listen, clearly nothing's going on, so I thought I'd give you an update on the midterm, stupid shit like that.
Yeah,
I can't.
I love that when you popped in on that, the crazy that when everything really hit the fan with Mr. Girl and Lav and on all this stuff recent, a couple days ago, and you popped in and you were like, by the way,
right,
politics stuff. I was like, yes, my man.
Hey, I know, and I think I pissed off poor Erudite. She's like, thank you for contributing to the toxic man. My bad.
No, you were
part
good.
of my love language and how I cope with things. I do use humor. I'm happy to have candid conversations, but I like processing things through humor as well. And
I can meme with the best of them. I hear you.
Yeah. So anyway, but no, you definitely need to have that conversation with him
I think I will.
about the CRT stuff. And let me know what your plans are for streaming and whatnot. Again, happy to participate or to
Yeah, I'd love to have you on.
comment and
That'd be
play
really cool.
off of and stuff like that. And I'll get you the information about the Progress Libs and Progressive Victory 2022.
Cool. I really appreciate it, man. Well, yeah, I think we can probably like close it out here. But this is this has been a really productive conversation. I feel very optimistic about the things that that I'll be getting into and that you'll be getting into moving forward. I think it'll be really cool. So I really appreciate you. Again, I I I think whenever I see your name, like you pop up with a conversation with Destiny, I'm like, let's go. There's gonna be some good political content that I'm gonna be like, Destiny's gonna be kind of steered just a little bit more in the direction that I like to see him firing on. And it's just, yeah, it's a breath of fresh air. So I really appreciate it.
I appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, definitely. And thank you for popping on and again, like helping me while I set this up and have somebody to bounce, ideas and conversations off of. And Aaron and Eric and Eat the Chef and Gail, thank you guys for participating in this impromptu chat. Appreciate it. And
Absolutely.
do this again soon. Peace out.
All right. Yeah.
Bye.